Hello and welcome. Welcome to this A1 Parents session. My name is Mark Monahan. I am the Assistant Principal for Digital and Communications at BHASVIC. In this session, we will talk you through all the things you need to know to get started here at BHASVIC and a little bit about the experience that your young person will have with us. You will hear from different teams. So you'll hear a welcome from our Principal, Will Baldwin. And then the rest of our senior team will tell you a bit about student services, student experience and guidance, as well as the curriculum. And then I'll jump back on at the end to talk a little bit about digital and communication. Now, there are standing by for us right now a team of people ready to answer your questions in the chat. So if you have anything you need to know that we haven't made clear in this presentation, send a message there and one of the team will try and respond. And the great thing is that any question you ask, the rest of the audience can also see the answers, so it helps everybody. So without further ado, I shall jump over and hand over to Will Baldwin, our principal.
Big one. In our experience, students worry most about the social, but actually probably need most help with the academic. And we recognise it does take time to settle in and bridge the gap between GCSEs and A-level. We provide lots of support inside and outside the classroom, and I hope you'll be reassured by that tonight. Your young person will not be with us for long. This is a period of transition and they will leave as adults. We need to help them prepare for that, including getting them to think quite quickly about what's next after BHASVIC. How to flourish at this level, I think, is a test of two things. It's a test of maturity and a test of the ability to manipulate information. Both James and Alison will say more about this, but put simply, students need to be organised and manage all the competing demands on their time. And they also need to engage with their work in a lot more depth than GCSEs required. We have a learning culture here that students will quickly align to, but it's also essential to us that students manage the balance between working hard and having fun and looking after themselves. One key message that we want you to take away is that what makes a BHASVIC student isn't just the qualifications. Although clearly these are essential, we place as much emphasis on personal and social development and want students to make the most of all the opportunities to be part of our thriving community, including all the clubs and societies that we have, which they can find out about and sign up to at our Freshers and Enrichment Fair, which is on Wednesday, the 25th of September. We are a big and busy college, but I hope that students are beginning to find their space as their routines bed in. We do encourage them to make the most of all the rooms here during break and lunch times, particularly classrooms if necessary. I really hope that they have a brilliant 2 years with us, and thanks for your support. You're our silent quality army working in the background with students to achieve their success. So a big thank you from us. And I'm now going to hand over to Alison Cousens, who's Vice Principal for Student Services.
Hi there. Thank you, Will. I'm Alison Cousens. I'm Vice Principal in charge of Student Services. And I want to spend just a couple of minutes introducing you to some of the essential people and services which we run here at BHASVIC. As I always say to my tutor group at this time of year, time speeds up as you get older and the time will fly whilst they're at BHASVIC. So that is especially the case if students, as Will says, make the most of their opportunities and they get involved and make sure their experience at college stretches way beyond just the purely academic. So I know many of you will have come along to our New Parents Information Evening in July, but it's worth offering just a few reminders about how tutorial and all the related information, advice and guidance works here. There is no daily registration with a form tutor at college. Instead, all students have a 45-minute tutorial group session, and that's once a week, and that's based in Student Services Centre, and I'll say a bit more about that shortly. Plus, they have follow-up one-to-ones, which may be either online on Teams or in person. Now, you will hopefully have received a short video message this week from your young person's tutor, introducing themselves and explaining a little more about their role. And in the first year, we spend the autumn term introducing our first year students to independent study and encouraging them to approach their time at college maturely. They may come home and sort of tell you that they've got much more free time on their timetables than they had at school. But we are very kind of clear that we're encouraging them to complete homework during these free periods. And they should expect to be doing at least 13.5 hours of independent study work on top of their 13.5 hours of lessons. For tutorial, they'll also have assignments to complete, which are linked to our overarching personal development programme. So this week, for example, all of our first year students have been set 3 digital induction assignments to introduce them to the various IT systems that we use at college. In the second year, tutorial takes on a much sharper focus on their future plans. And come the spring term, our first year students start to think about future plans and to choose their specialist tutorial pathway for A2, which is linked to their progression route, be that university, apprenticeship, art foundation, Oxbridge, or medicine. We run special online information evenings for parents and carers during this time. So during February and March, look out for those to help you to understand that decision-making process around moving into the A2 year. And we also have on-site specialist application events for further support. We're aware that students often sort of change their mind about careers whilst still at college, or simply just want to keep their options open. So the tutor is the person who can best signpost them to that appropriate support. I would also say that there's a wealth of information on the dedicated careers and HE pages, as well as our parent carer page of the website, which includes key dates and deadlines. We try to keep you up to date with academic progress via the parent portal, and hopefully you'll have received your logins in the last week or so, where you can check information at any time, which is linked to attendance, to support plans, exam information, and so on. Twice a year we run, twice a year in November and March, parents and carers will be invited to view progress review information. They offer a snapshot of the progress that students are making within their subjects. And in December and January, we run targeted parent-carer events to run alongside these progress reviews. And as I said, there's a lot of information that I'm giving you here. Please do go to the parent-carer page of our website, and you can find all sorts of information about the progress reviews, the parent portal, and so on there. So now just a little bit about guidance managers, who are a really important part of our provision here. We deliberately run all tutor sessions in the Student Services Centre, as this is the main location for many of our information advice and guidance services that we offer. And each tutor is line managed by a guidance manager, who is a bit like a head of year in school and who oversees all pastoral casework. Our guidance managers come from a range of different backgrounds within education, youth services and careers, and can advise on course changes, timetabling, and more challenging issues which may arise, including liaising with other departments at college, such as the Additional Learning Supports Department, the exams team, as well as curriculum departments if there are concerns over any aspect of progress or behaviour. There's more information introducing this team at the bottom of our wellbeing page on the website. Just to give you an example of the work that they're currently doing with both first years and second years, they're running our start of term online help desks for students who need advice on their timetables at this time of year. So if students have any query about any aspect of their timetable, they're having a wobble about one of their subject choices, they can post on the virtual help desk, which students can find on the My BHASVIC app, or by going into Student Services reception. And for first years, the start of term help desk runs until the 27th of September. After that date, we don't normally consider course changes, but if there are concerns about subjects after this deadline, students, parents and carers can get in touch with their guidance manager by contacting Student Services reception or emailing studentservices@bhasvic.ac.uk. At this point, it's also worth saying a little bit more about our centre operations team who manage the Student Services Centre. They're the first point of contact on the Student Services reception desk if a student needs to make an appointment with any of the more specialist teams like safeguarding, counselling, careers, or, as we've said, the guidance managers. Our Centre Ops team have a wealth of knowledge about all aspects of the student experience and can offer support and advice on financial support and bursaries. All of our Centre Ops team are mental health first aid trained and can provide on-the-spot support for students who might be feeling a little bit anxious about any aspect of college or their wider lives. We appreciate that as a time of transition and change, coming to college may at times feel a bit overwhelming and stressful for students, which is why we prioritise additional cross-college personal development sessions to help students to learn life skills, particularly around managing their own well-being and study. Last week, all A1 students attended 20-minute sessions exploring how to use key daily habits and behaviours to support recall and learning and to build positive mental health and help students adapt well to that step up to the advanced studies. Now, these sessions are run by Action Your Potential, which is an organisation run by one of our governors, Andrew Wright, who has also recently been a parent of 2 BHASVIC students. He's also a specialist in using the latest neuroscience to support behavioural change. Okay, Mark, can you go on to the events and enrichment? Excellent slide. So the personal development sessions are also organised by our events and enrichment team, and they organise activities throughout the year to help students make the most of their time here and enjoy life at college that extends beyond the purely academic. So the next big event our events team organise is, as Will said, the Freshers' Fair on the 25th of September. And that really does take over most of the college and is an opportunity for students to sign up and join societies, become a peer mentor, get involved in extracurricular trips and activities, get involved in volunteering, get involved in additional things like Duke of Edinburgh Award or the Student Union. Just a word about the Student Union. Any student can become a Student Union ambassador. And this year we're guiding them to help with a range of projects linked to wellbeing, equality, marketing and comms and Citizens UK to help get involved in social action. So if students are interested in any of this, then I'll plug it again, the Freshers and Enrichment Fair on the 25th, or come along and speak to someone at Student Services Reception. And lastly from me then, just a little bit about careers and student experience. Our student experience team oversee many of our careers events like the Futures Fair in January or Skills Week, which comes at the end of our students' first year. And we ask them to start looking at work experience placements really from the end of the autumn term. So just a bit of a heads up there. If you as parents and carers can think about and start talking to your young person about where they might want to do work experience at the end of their first year, that would be really, really welcomed. We have excellent links with over 700 local and national employers, together with a vibrant alumni community who regularly come into college to offer talks and workshops. We also have a special relationship with American Express as a key link employer, and their volunteers are coming in to run CV and interview sessions with some of our tutor groups in early October. A1 students should also look out for the Hello Future event in November, which is organised by the local Careers Hub. And then there will be a personal development student conference for our first years in March. Now, information about all of this will come via tutorial for students and for parents and carers via our regular updates and newsletters. Again, I'm going to direct you to the website because we have the careers and employer web pages where you can find out more information about if you are an employer or if you're a member of our alumni, you can also get involved to support this work. That's pretty much it from me. We're very much looking forward to another busy year with some exciting collaborations, offering opportunities and support for all of our students. But yeah, just another plug. If you do need to get in touch with any of our student support, experience or guidance teams, then please don't hesitate to contact studentservices@basvic.ac.uk.
Hello, I'm James Moncrieff. I guess I can't really say it's nice to meet you because I'm not actually meeting you, but I I will meet some of you at some point, I'm sure, and that will be nice. But I am responsible for the curriculum, the teaching and learning, and guide all the teachers through their work at the college. There's a few things just to mention for you. As parents and carers of sixth form students, the first thing I'd say here is that sixth form study is really fun and really fascinating. There's courses that students have chosen, they will be really intrigued by, and they will be, I guess, kind of learning at a level fairly quickly. Their subject knowledge, what they know and what they can do, will be things that you don't know and won't be able to do, because they are getting quite deeply into their subject at this level. There are some real differences as well between sixth form study and school, because what we're doing here is we're helping our students and we're preparing our students for the adult world. And many of them, when they finish with us, will actually be moving on to leaving home and moving into work. So those differences I want to just talk about and sort of show and illustrate. And I know Will mentioned before, and Al as well, some of these points. So there's the main one, I think, is that there's more responsibility and more independence. Now that is something that occurs over time, and already in the first couple of weeks you will feel that difference, and you'll be hearing from a young person about what it's like at college. But what I've pulled together for you here is 3 top tips from myself and our teaching community to kind of show you and illustrate what some of that might look like. So the first top tip is about attendance, and there are fewer lessons in sixth form. Each subject, there's fewer subjects and there's fewer lessons, but those lessons really, really count. So the number one thing we think that you can do is just to support your young person as much as possible to go to all of their lessons. There's a really strong correlation between how well students do in their attendance, and this table shows you here. If the bar is above the line, that's really good. That's doing much better than expected. If the bar is below the line, that's going the opposite way and doing less well than perhaps at the secondary school phase. And you'll see here that getting really good results, way above what was expected first, if you attend all lessons on average, and if you are missing up to a quarter of your lessons, then that really does drop massively. So you've got a whole grade and more difference between those. This is a sample set of 140,000 students in our sector. So hopefully that kind of shows you that there is a massive correlation between attending your lessons, not your young person, and how well they do in the end. So supporting with them that with them is the number one thing. Number 2, managing study time. So study time is quite different to sixth form, as Will mentioned at the beginning. A student will get their timetable and it's like, wow, the colours are where I have lessons. The white is where I have spare time or free time. And what we're doing with our students, and one thing that you can support them with, is really making good use of that spare time. So although the actual timetable lessons might look like this, then a student's study time would want to look like this. And those lighter colours are where the student is thinking, right, let's say that orange subject is English. Okay, so I have English. I might do some English in between those 2 lessons on a Monday. There's time on the weekends that they might want to study. A student might want to be studying some a night owl, some like the morning. But really making use of that spare time and sort of planning it out and thinking about it is a really, really useful activity. They don't need to stick to this religiously. They might have a deadline for one piece, and let's say on that, that Monday morning, they're not going to do that orange subject. They're actually going to do their blue subject, but just have it thinking about where is the time when I'm doing my study is one of the most powerful things that they can do to get into routines and be successful. The next tip I'd say is, when they're doing that independent study, what does that look like? So as we move on to the next slide, you'll see a picture of a paper aeroplane. If we can go to the next slide. Thank you. So I want to myth bust a little bit here. What you can hear sometimes is, you have to teach yourself a unit or some topic or something ahead of the lesson. And what often that independent study is it is about perhaps doing something that's quite straightforward. There's resources available for the students to learn, to begin to icebreak or begin to get their head around a topic. And then when they get to the lesson, having done that stuff, which is guided and supported, then the teacher on the next slide will be helping them to do this, which is take that knowledge much, much further, make something more complex. And then perhaps with this kind of more tricky, more advanced paper airplane, also doing some pretty neat and whizzy tricks with it. So really this kind of flipped approach to learning, instead of watching the teacher make a really advanced paper airplane in the lesson and then having to go and do them their own in their homework, and perhaps the lesson looking a little bit like this. Instead, what's happening is that they get that initial easy stuff to do, and then the lesson might look a lot more like this, where the students are then applying that learning, working together. The teacher is crafting and creating and guiding this application of the learning that Will was talking about early on. So they really hone their skills, correct their knowledge, and get to use that information to a more advanced level. The best thing for a teacher to be doing in the lesson, as opposed to sort of dryly explaining everything, and then the students need to actually do the work outside of the lesson. Next slide, thanks. Okay, the third final tip is to get help. And there is a lot of support for students in their subjects at the college. Obviously, the first starting point is the teacher. Sometimes we find that a student's a bit nervous about talking to their teacher if they don't know how to do something, but we'd really encourage them to do that. The teacher's there, that's fine. They're used to it. They know how they need that information, and they can support and intervene. There are subject extensions in each of their courses, so they can go along at lunchtime and other times with a subject teacher there to support them with their learning. And often other students, perhaps if they're a first year, second years, there to support them as peers, because our students, once they're second years, are fantastic at helping our first years with their learning as well. And then more broadly, always a safe port of call is to talk to their personal tutor if they're not quite sure how to approach the issue or how to talk to their own subject teacher. Their personal teacher is just great for that. So those are my 3 top tips as parents and carers. Refer to this and hopefully you find that useful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, James. Okay, great. I'm going to now give you a bit of a whistle-stop tour on some of the ways that we will communicate with you. You will find that you go from primary school through to secondary school, and there's some big differences as you move through those phases, the kind of communications you get and how you're kept informed. So we'll just give you a few headlines on some ways we do that and some of the ways that students engage with digital technology here as well. So we have a whole section on our website dedicated to parents and carers where you can find a lot of information just to go and grab it and find it as you need it. But I'm going to look particularly at 3 things here, which are our calendars, our communications, and also our parent portal, which Alison mentioned before. So we have here in the website, there's a whole section on all the communications that we'll send out to you. So actually every fortnight you will receive a lovely fancy looking email with information about what's going on in the college and dates that are coming up. And we have a repository of all of those on our website, so you can go back and check them. So they will land in your inbox, but we do also store them under the parent carers area of our website. And that's just a great way of being able to go and grab that information without having to kind of dig through an inbox or an app to find out what's going on. Just it's a place you can go and see what's happening in the college. And in addition to that, there's also the college calendar, which has all the information about all the events that are going on. So you can check that at any time. And that's kept up to date so that you can see anything about such as progression weeks or whether lessons are suspended or there's a help desk running. So lots of information about the day-to-day functioning of the college. So rather than having to find out from your young person or a message. We then have also on our website an exams page, which has a lot of information about the process of exams, everything happens after exams, but also we publish a full timetable of all the exams that happen for our students. So that means that you can take a copy of that, you can download it and print it and stick it on the fridge, so you have information for when your young person finally gets to exams. That information's there in black and white that you can refer to, because the worst thing in the world would be to miss those. So to have that information at hand at all time as a bit of a target on the fridge working towards is really, really helpful for parents. Alison mentioned our parent portal. So we have a online system for tracking progress and recording attendance. And students have a login and parents do as well. And as a parent, you'll be able to see things like timetables, attendance, and any other upcoming information. And that's just really useful for you to be able to sign into, notify us of absences, so that the teams know if a young person is away, that there's a reason for that. And so you should have received information about how to sign into CEDA. And if not, then you can get in touch with us and ask about that. Just recently, students would have had our online digital induction. So like here, they would have been on YouTube and they got a 15-20 minute introduction to the tools that they will need to use in their learning at BHASVIC. So looking at those particular learning platforms to make it really clear from the outset what they need to use, particularly if they've gone to a school where there might be different tools in place. So for us, Microsoft Teams is the main tool they'll be using for accessing a lot of their learning, communicating with their teachers and classes, and also assignments that get posted on there. And then also we have what's called SharePoint, which is basically Microsoft's way of having file storage and sharing, but for groups and teams. So the subject areas will have a SharePoint space like this set up. It's divided into year 1 and year 2 subjects, and the students can actually dive into there and grab resources for their lessons. So it's just a way to go and to find the resources that they need, rather than fishing about, looking all over the place. And then lastly, as I said, the students have access to CEDA themselves, and there'll be points in the year where they'll need to sign into that, perhaps updating their future plans, working on their UCAS references, looking at the kind of future, all those kind of stuff. And then the last thing we'll kind of point you to is the My BHASVIC app. And this is really a kind of a launch pad. So students are encouraged to download that app, and then it has buttons that will take them through to SharePoint, to CEDA. It has their calendar pulled through from their timetable, and it also has notifications telling them about important information that's going on across the college. So I think that is all about the particular bits and pieces that students will be using whilst they're here at BHASVIC. So that is pretty much everything from all of us. Remembering that any questions you can always be putting in the chat here, and you will find all the links to these particular parts of the website and all these tools in the description of this video to get you there easily. But you can find all of that in our parents section of our website. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we hope to see you all soon. Thanks very much.